Airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock.
He hits it.
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch me. Touchdown, Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Men's basketball opens up 1-0. Women's basketball opens up 1-0. We didn't have a Duck Insider yesterday because we had a basketball doubleheader and the Ducks both teams victorious. We've got Dan Lanning's weekly press conference for you to kick things off. I'm Joey Mack. Thanks for joining us. Also, Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl will be with us here in the Country Financial Studio, and Matt Ulmer is going to be here, and I'm not going to say anything else on the subject. Let's just jump right in. Head coach Dan Lanning, and then we've got some fun with men's and women's basketball coming up along with Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl. Ducks, Trojans, 7:30 kickoff. The first night game under the lights. And the first time since 2015 that USC has been to Autzen Stadium. It's been a long time. Ducks, Trojans, 7:30, 5:30 pregame show on the Oregon Sports Network, televised on Fox. Coach Lanning's weekly press conference kicks us off today.
Obviously, great weekend for our guys. I certainly walked away feeling like we could play a lot better, but was really pleased with our team's response throughout the game. A lot of young guys stepping up and making a big impact was great for us to see, and a lot to build off of. So we had a great prep day today. Guys really went in there and attacked what they got to get better at. And obviously playing a special opponent, with a lot of talent on that side of the ball, a team that's got talent on, in every phase. So we have to be ready to attack them and play them well. And they obviously do a great job of scoring points. So something we had to be prepared for.
Like you said, you left Saturday thinking there was a lot that you needed to clean up. I'm curious how that doctor's visit went yesterday and kind of how the mentality was for the players today.
Great. These guys come to work, man. They're wired the right way. It's always about hearing the message, not the tone. And I thought our guys did a phenomenal job of identifying exactly what they want to do to get a little bit better. And it's right now, this part of the season, it's about finding something you can get a little bit better at and growing that 1%.
I had a question on a couple of the calls. One, on the penalty on Jones, was there something that happened outside of camera angle just because they both went to the ground?
We sent it in to see what the interpretation is as well, because we didn't necessarily see it the same way.
Gotcha. And then on the back-to-back plays on Bucky, first where he gets lifted up and there's no call, and second where there's appears to be helmet-to-helmet, though he's not a defenseless player, but nevertheless there is helmet-to-helmet. Did you send those in as well?
No, he's lowering his helmet. The defensive player is lowering theirs. I could see how that could be something that was sent in, but that would have been more ticky-tacky on our part, in my opinion. Obviously it gets lifted up. That happens sometimes in the passion of the game.
Just what have you seen from USC's offense this year? Is there an opponent that you've played this year that kind of reminds you of them?
I don't think we've seen an offense quite like this offense. It's really unique. Obviously, the closest would be, Washington in some ways with the explosive passes. A quarterback can make every single throw. They've got great weapons. They're strong in the offensive front with their O-line. They've got a really good running game. Marshawn's running the ball really, really well. Seems like they get into positive plays really easily, and the shot game is always there. I mean, he extends plays and holds onto the ball longer than anybody in college football, and he can make every throw. So that's dangerous if you're not able to get him down on the ground and not able to cover for a long time. So they present a lot of challenges. I mean, they use the tight end in the passing game. They run the ball well. They're a scheme team, and they do what they do really well. But they're going to bring new wrinkles into each game that you have to be prepared for, and they're one of the harder opponents to prepare for.
Coach, good to see you again. The cinematic recaps have been a huge hit for Oregon this year, and for good reason. As the leader of the team, how do you kind of strike that balance between giving fans that behind-the-scenes look that they haven't really got before and keeping that secret sauce kind of close to the vest, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I get to see them before they get to released, and every once in a while we'll make some edits. But I think it's good for everyone to be able to see the work that our players put in and the preparation that goes into success. And I think it provides a great glimpse of all the work that does go into a 60-minute game. And there's so much more than just obviously those 60 minutes. So our video staff has done an unbelievable job, capturing some great content and really. The other piece that's fun for me with those is it gets to highlight the great people in our program. Not me, the players, the coaches, the video staff, just everybody that touches our program makes such a great impact. I think it tells a great story, about our team and each week and how each week is unique and different.
When there's so many elements that make their offense so dangerous, how do you focus on containing that?
You try to take them all away. No, it's hard. You talk about trying to make a team play left-handed. This is a hard team to play left-handed because they do so many things really, really well. I think you have to be sound when you play these guys. And their quarterback's kind of seen it all and has a lot of experience. So it's hard to pitch something to him that he hasn't really probably prepared for already. So it's about being sound, being smart, being patient. And when you get the opportunity to change up a look or provide and create pressure, you want to be able to do that. But it can't be a feast or famine mentality. You can't expect this guy not to have some success in this game. He's going to have some success. And it's really about how we respond to that success. And it's about the culmination of plays over time.
Hi, Coach. Nice to meet you for the first time. Obviously, addressing the elephant in the room of Caleb Williams, how do you game plan for an athlete as dynamic as that can just kind of work that magic from the quarterback position?
Yeah, fortunate for us, we've played a lot of good quarterbacks this year. But Caleb is certainly a hard one to prepare for. One, because of his ability, as an athlete, he can run. He's got great speed. He's really strong in the lower body. He's a hard guy to get to the ground. But again, the prep is every day. It's the drill work we do. You have to do some particular drills throughout the week to really prep you for the difference of play for him and how he plays. Like I said, the holding the ball for long periods of time and being able to keep his eyes downfield to create explosive plays, that's one of the things that probably makes him most unique. And then the fact that you really can't outrun his arm, right? It doesn't matter how far the receivers are down the field. He's always got the ability to throw it and does a great job of that. So he's a tough one to prepare for.
Really big recruiting opportunity for you this week. Obviously, you can have, looks like a lot of visitors out. Obviously, winning the game is step number one. It's the main goal. But how big of an opportunity is this for you guys? Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's huge for the atmosphere that our fans create. It's huge for how our team performs. Recruiting in these scenarios, you don't get to spend as much time with the recruits as you want because you're spending a lot of time preparing your team. But that will be a big piece of this weekend.
What were some things you saw from the film from Saturday's game that maybe you weren't thinking about right after the game was over on the sideline?
I don't know if there was something that I wasn't thinking about in particular. It's probably a really good question. I just don't know that I can think of. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking about right after the game. I was probably a little pissed off, but I don't remember anything in particular.
What does their change in defensive coordinator to an unknown play caller in either way? They're not identifying them, but regardless, I don't believe either one's been a play caller before at this level. So how do you go about trying to prepare for a real unknown in that sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts that kind of go into that, but Coach Odom's actually called it before when last time Oregon played against Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. So I think there'll be a lot of similarities to some of the stuff that they already do. I think that group will probably have some new wrinkles that we potentially haven't seen. But it all comes back to what football's all about, right? Tackling, blocking, right? Breaking tackles, making catches. So all those things are going to hold true. And we have to play to our identity. I hope when people watch this team, especially, really on both sides of the ball, you see an identity. And our identity has to hold true regardless of what scheme we see against us.
Non-USC related question, but you started off talking about basketball. I was just curious, what is your relationship with some of the other coaches? Doesn't have to be just necessarily basketball. And if you've taken any lessons from any of the other coaches. Yeah,
I take a ton of lessons from all of them. Somebody actually asked me last week what makes Oregon so special. And it's funny, the day before I just got off the phone with Coach Altman, and he was just calling just to, hey, congrats so far in the season. Want you to know we're cheering for you. I think that is so unique here. Coach Wass sent me a text earlier today, and he's down in the weight room getting his workout in. He's asking me where I'm at and told him I'm working. So there are so many coaches at this university and make this place so special. I think that speaks to the job that Rob Mullins has done as far as creating a culture in our athletic department where all of us want to spend time with each other. You know, I got to see Casey. We went into our walkthrough because of the rain over at Matthew Knight Arena. And the fact that we get to use that facility, even though we're not on the basketball team, I think that speaks to, you know, the collaboration that exists in our program, or at our university. But I have a great relationship with several coaches, and I get excited when I get to spend time around the coaches in our program, whether it's helping Missy out recruiting in softball. Like, I want to do anything I can to help the program, and they do the exact same thing for us. You know, I love it when I see coaches from other sports at our practices, bouncing ideas off of each other, and, you know, ways that we can motivate our players and maximize their ability on the field. But that's something that to me is very unique to Oregon. I haven't experienced that really anywhere else that I've coached, and it's a really special situation here with the coaches that we have here.
We've seen Justin Jacobs now for 3 games against different offenses. Just how do you think he's progressing through the season, and, you know, what are the next steps for him for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I'm really proud of Justin, the way that he's approached everything this season, and, you know, he certainly made a great impact for us. He's, you know, proven to be a solid tackler. He's tough to block. You know, I think his size and his athleticism, you know, make him a really special talent on the field, and I'm excited to see him continue to grow.
Coach, one of the things that's made your defense, the Oregon defense, so special this year has been the depth and kind of the leap that took from last year to this year. I realize it's a loaded question, but what goes into really building a truly deep defense in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with talent acquisition, right? You have to get guys that can play to the level, the standard that you expect, you know, from your team. And, you know, if you have 11 guys that can play the standard, you play 11 guys. You know, fortunate for us, we've been able to acquire great talent that can play to a higher standard. We've also been able to develop talent and had guys that are willing to develop. So we have a lot of guys that come in here and they work their tail off. And I always like watching a season and seeing the guys that really aren't involved early in the season to become more involved as the season grows, because it tells you that they're getting better as players. But you know, strength in numbers, right? The more you can play at a high level, you know, the better your team's going to be down the stretch, the healthier your team's going to be down the stretch, and, you know, the better effort that you'll actually exude on the field.
You talked about just Caleb's ability to extend plays. How do you get your DBs ready for that challenge of just having to stay in coverage for so long?
Yeah, you just go out there and run routes and tell them to cover for 10 seconds in practice. I mean, you extend plays in practice. You work that's the same things that'll happen. It's hard to replicate, you know, because stuff's not necessarily done on time, and you have to kind of replicate, you know, untimed downs in situations where the ball can be extended for a long time, and create that in practice.
Some other coaches in the conference have expressed some disdain for the 7:30 p.m. kicks. I'm curious what your opinion is on the matter.
I mean, I don't pick it, so let's play. I mean, we've got to play a lot of early games. I'm expecting an elite atmosphere from our fans. They got to maybe start a little bit later in the day and not get too excited before the game starts. But, you know, night games are fun. I always liked Friday night lights in high school, so I'm all for it.
On their receiving core, what makes their group unique, and that is it merely the depth and of talent that they have compared to others, and who would you compare them to, either this season in this league or to past teams that you've played?
Yeah, I think they're probably different than anyone we've played so far this league because of the amount of players that they play. You know, at the position, they have a lot of quality players that can play. You know, at a lot of different positions, and they utilize their personnel well. But there's a lot of receivers that get a lot of snaps. They have tremendous speed in the slot. I think it's also unique how they move their wideouts around. You'll see them line up in the backfield. They'll line up in the C area. You know, Branch is an elite. I mean, he's an elite returner, and that shows up. But they've got a lot of talent really across the board when it comes to wideout.
Going off of that, just what are the difficulties of Deuce Robinson and covering him as a tight end or a big receiver, more or less?
Yeah, big body, big catch radius. You know, he's a guy that we spent time recruiting coming out of high school. He's a great kid, comes from a phenomenal family. Is obviously having a good year for them and developing and growing there. But, you know, he looks good. He's a good player. He's definitely a red area target that you always have to be aware of with his size. They've found some unique ways to use him.
Coach, you've gotten to coach in a couple rivalry games at Oregon, obviously Washington and Oregon State. USC is a pretty big rivalry, I feel like the fan base would think. What's your understanding of what the Oregon versus USC rivalry kind of means to this fan base and this team?
Yeah, I think every game around here matters, right? And I think certainly this one, especially the amount of time we spend recruiting in California, I think, the battles that exist, just in every sport, between our universities, this is one that obviously means a lot to a lot of people. But I can promise you nobody wants to win this game more than myself and our players. They're working really hard for a great result on Saturday, and obviously it's a really good team that we have to go play.
What's your relationship like with Lincoln Riley? Have you spent much time with him before? Have you spent much time around him, whether it's at camps or talk with him outside of football?
Actually, when I was at Georgia, I was actually recruiting Caleb, and we were both at the field in Gonzaga in D.C., so I got to be around him a little bit there. I've never spent a ton of time with Lincoln. I've seen him obviously at Pac-12 meetings and things like that. He's a guy I have a ton of respect for. Obviously, he's been, had elite offenses for a really long time. My very first Glacier Clinic as a high school coach. He was the wide receivers coach at Texas Tech, and I was coaching wideouts at Park Hill South. And I went and listened to him. I'm certain he doesn't remember me. I've never really told anybody that story, but I took some good notes, so hopefully they pay off on Saturday. We'll see.
They've been quite vulnerable in run defense, and I'm not going to ask you to point out every reason why, but they do have a player you're quite familiar with in Bear Alexander in the middle of that. And with as good as Jackson has played, this is probably his toughest individual matchup in that way. What is it about Bear in particular that makes him that kind of challenge? And in spite of the fact that their defense has been vulnerable on the run.
Yeah, Bear's a dominant player. He has elite get-off. He has great strength. He's very disruptive. I think you want to know the impact of his play. It's, look at the first half of the Cal game where he didn't get to play, and then watch him come in the next few series when he does come in and the impact that he makes. He's a guy that you have to know where he's at all times, but I think our front loves that challenge of having the opportunity to go against a really quality player and quality opponent.
We saw Damon David get into the game towards the end against Cal. Just how has he progressed, and what's that, competition look like behind Evan and Steve and trying to replace what Brian Addison was for the team?
Yeah, he's he's a guy that's gotten better and better each week, and he's unfortunately for him, he's been plagued with some injuries since he's gotten here. So it's great to see him healthy out there. This guy has a wonderful attitude every single day. He comes to work, preps. Gives our team a great look when he has to give us a great look, and when he gets an opportunity to go in and play and compete for us, he's done a good job. So looking for him to continue to grow.
Bucky Irving has been having a great year, and he's fun to watch. We all know about him, but Jordan James has maybe not so quietly been having a tremendous year. What do you think makes him so special? What do people need to know about him that we maybe don't get to see on Saturdays?
Yeah, I think the experience that Jordan has gotten has paid off, over time, and the plan that, our offensive staff had for him coming in and how he's continued to grow. I think he had some big catches out of the backfield this last game. I know he had a critical third down catch that was really, special and did exactly what you coach him to do when it comes to, checking out after a pressure, and Bo's getting hit right after he throws it. And Jordan makes a great catch and gets down the field and converts for a first down. But runs tough. He doesn't go down on first contact. He trusts his track, and his reads. He's in a great room. That room is a really connected room, and I think he's done a great job for us.
You mentioned Zachariah Branch, kind of a two-parter in special teams. How critical is it to avoid kicking to him at all costs in both the punt game and kickoffs, and on kickoffs specifically? What is the thinking and strategy with Grant now that he's up to 3 games, and do you want him to take over kickoffs this week and save the red shirt potentially? Do you look for that for Oregon State? And how do you want to handle that with kickoffs with him going forward?
Yeah, we'll continue to assess that within our program. I think that a common thought always with a guy like Zachariah is don't kick the ball to him at all. And there's some truth and benefit to that, but then there's also something to be said for your coverage units. It's not as easy as people think to say, okay, I'm going to kick it here. Or I'm going to kick it out of bounds, kick it to another side of the field, because sometimes you create more field space for a dynamic returner like Branch. So I think we just have to have a great plan. We have to have elite coverage. He's been really good. There's no secret about it. He's probably the best right now in the nation. And I don't know if there's anybody that's really a close second. So he's one that we have to be aware of and make sure we have great coverage plans for and do a good job of kicking. And hopefully we avoid the opportunity to punt so we don't have to see him in action.
Oregon football head coach Dan Lanning meeting with the media in his weekly press conference last night. It's always brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. When we come back, Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl is here with us. More coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack, joined by Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl in the Country Financial Studio. Eric, fresh back from Las Vegas. Did you win any money while you were there?
No, and I didn't lose any either.
Nicely done. See, I think that's coming out in the net positive when you go to Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Right?
Break-even's a win.
Yeah, back from the men's basketball trip. Both men's and women's basketball opened up 1-0, Eric. A good start to the season. It's here.
Awesome start. It snuck up on us fast, but it was great to be down in Vegas and see all the Ducks out there cheering them on and come back with a win against an SEC opponent and really set the tone.
You know, I was talking to Coach Altman about these neutral site games, and it's odd that like you can say, okay, you're starting your season at T-Mobile Arena, and we know the Ducks will start their postseason at T-Mobile Arena. You know, that experience is a big deal for these games. We'll talk a little bit more about basketball coming up, but maybe for you, let's stick with that. Like, season tickets are important for men's and women's basketball. Coming up on the home opener on Friday, a pretty good Montana team will be in town. I don't know, just an update on basketball for us.
Yeah, well, we're really excited about the year and the talent on the team. Just speaking specifically to the men's side, a lot of energy and a lot of excitement about the upcoming year. And absolutely, we've got one of the best facilities in the country, and we want to fill up Matthew Knight Arena night in, night out. I know a big one that we've had marked on the schedule for a while now is that Michigan game on December 2nd. And getting Michigan in here, it's going to be a 12:30 tip. And, we're going to do a lot of activation around that game. We're going to do some fun giveaways. We're going to be getting more information out about the Michigan game. But if you are listening, we want to fill up the arena for that Michigan game. We really want to bring the energy. It's a huge opportunity for our team, for our community, and really set the tone for a great year in men's basketball.
12:30 on Fox Sports 1, Saturday, December 2nd. Just for your planning purposes, it's actually the day after the Pac-12 football championship game in Las Vegas. You may want to take a look to see about early morning flights from Vegas on Saturday. I'm just throwing that out there as a planning option, Eric. I don't know if you've looked at such things, but...
Yeah, I like your optimism. And we try not to be too presumptuous, but it's certainly in the realm of possibility. And,
right.
And I'm sure we'll get to football here in a minute.
Yeah.
But absolutely, we want to get everybody out there, the students, bring the energy and really show everybody what what Matthew Knight can be.
Yeah, so on that note, football, of course, is on everyone's mind right now. A big one against USC coming up. The first 7:30 kickoff all year. So, serious question. So Rob and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, how like one year it seemed like it was a ton of 7 o'clock kickoffs. I know your inbox, Rob's inbox, everybody's inbox was, hey, how do we get an earlier kick time? Then this year it's a bunch of 12:30s, couple 4:30s. And now you're getting a 7:30 game that everyone had kind of been anticipating. So my question is, I don't really have one. I'm just saying all of that, Eric. Like what? 7:30 kickoff. That's nice, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming at some point, and some people really enjoy the night kicks.
I do.
The late kicks, and the students were all over their ticket allotment, and they're going to have a fun series of festivities, I'm sure, on Saturday. But yeah, we've been really fortunate. I think the majority of our people, especially those who are coming from 1, 2, 2+ hours away, really enjoy the opportunity to play a game at 12:30, 1 o'clock. And we've had some great kick times, both home and on the road. And yeah, we've got 7:30, and that's what it's going to be. And Autzon's going to be rocking, and what a great opportunity for our program.
Well, I'm going to reiterate what Coach Lanning said. If you didn't hear his press conference last segment or on demand, it's a later game, so you pace yourself to be up later. It's a later game, So whatever you do to do that, it's important.
Yeah, it might involve some different strategy than than a 12:30 kick, but yeah, we're going to embrace it. Good. We're going to have fun with it, and we'll see what happens the rest of the way.
Now, how big is a game like this too, Eric? I mean, we talk about like eyeballs and the attention. The Ducks we'll find out the CFP ranking tonight, but the point is that Oregon's in the mix of it. It's right where you want to be, right?
Yeah, it's been a great year, and the team's performed really well on the field. It's been fun to watch, how strong and balanced they are. Yeah. And, I think things that jump out to me with this group are focus, togetherness, connectivity, a lot of the things that Coach Lanning talks about a lot in terms of our DNA and our keys to success. So, it's 1 week at a time. We got a huge challenge with USC, and what a fun opportunity. I think the last time they were here was, 2015? So
a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah, I said the same thing, that it kind of hit me when I looked back, like, wow, it's been since 2015. That was my second year on the sideline in 2015. So it's been an awful long time. Lots happened since then. Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl with us. A larger picture for the football question. We always at this point, I feel, I don't even know, joke is the wrong word, but I always bring up football scheduling with you, and it always brings a smile for everybody because everything is in such flux. But you've got a conference schedule now for next year, which is exciting heading into the Big Ten.
Yeah, not only our conference opponents, but we actually have a full,
dates!
Week-by-week schedule.
Dates!
So you sound excited about that, Joe.
I am a planner, Eric. I don't know if you know this, but I really like a schedule. If you saw my calendar and the color coding that I have, it's what would you describe it as, Scott? Next level. I appreciate that. I thought you were going to say crazy, so thank you for that.
Well, you're a busy man. They've got you covering a few things, so
but still,
I get it.
So are you. I mean, how many meetings on average are you in a week?
Oh, in a week? I don't know.
How many are you in
More
a day?
More of a day. A few.
A few, right? Like 1 or 2,
Yeah.
Probably I would estimate for you it's like 4 or 5, right? I mean, that seems like a normal day.
Some days more, some less. Yeah, it depends, but I'm glad you've got the schedule mapped out and you've got fall of 24 dialed in right now.
Once we finish a basketball schedule, then I'll really be able to look at these things. But in any case, like it is exciting, I guess, for the future to have all that kind of ironing out.
Yeah, and when that shell came out a few weeks back, and we finally got a good glimpse into what our rotation was going to be, and when we were going to be home and away, and one of the more nuanced things about the Big Ten schedule coming out. So both conferences, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, play 9,
right?
Which means you've always got an imbalanced schedule,
right?
So we didn't actually stay on the same cycle,
right?
So going into 2024, had we continued to be in the Pac-12, we would have had 4 home conference games. With the 3 home non-conference games we already had on the schedule, we would have had 7 home games. But the Big Ten actually has us on a different rotation now. We're playing 5 home conference games in the even years. So now we've got 8 home games next year. So, we're still kind of looking at that a little bit, but we're excited to have our schedule in place. We've got great conference and non-conference opponents in 2024 and beyond. I know there's a huge amount of excitement, seeing Ohio State and Michigan pop up on the schedule and kind of getting a sense over the next 5 years.
Right. I'm excited about that. I mean, I've already started to think about some of those matchups, and I'm sure, like, for you and me, like, I've gone to a lot of cool places in this job. I know you have too, and there will be a few more that get checked off the list for Duck fans and people that make those trips. And so now the planner's question, if I could, like, because football scheduling is such a point of interest, I know, and it's something that you are constantly dealing with and thinking about, how much easier is it for you to even do your job now that you have some more, I guess, is the dust settled to an extent, or it is starting to settle? You can kind of plan ahead a little bit more?
Yeah, well, we know our rotation, so that gives you a little more visibility into who you're playing in which years and where you're home, where you're away.
Yeah.
Our non-conference schedule is really the only thing that we control.
Right.
And our non-conference schedule, as you know, had kind of been built out through 2030.
Long way.
So Michigan State came off because that was 29-30, and then Ohio State was 32-33. So, we can start working on some things down the road now. But, yeah, we take a breath. We got our Big Ten schedule, and we've still got some moving parts here over the next 5 or 6 years that we got to work on with our non-conference.
But still nice to be able to have that exhale moment, I'm sure. Again, as the planner that I am, I can only imagine.
Well, and with the transition to the Big Ten, that's certainly an important piece and the most visible piece. But now we've got to figure it out with 10 other sports, or really 9 other sports that we have that are going to play Big Ten conference schedule. So working on what does that basketball model look like on the men's and women's side, and baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse, those types of sports.
Good luck.
Yeah, let's go.
Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl with us. Quick timeout. When we come back, a little bit on baseball, men's and women's tennis, a little more on football as well. Stick with us. More Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league! Ugh! I love this guy! What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack, joined by Deputy Athletic Director Eric Roedl in the studio for a couple more minutes here. So we talked about football, a lot of big picture things, USC on the horizon. Also baseball. You and I were just talking during the break. Ryan Nelson was in a World Series. Scott McGuff was on a World Series. I mean, all these different things. Like, that's pretty cool to see. And it was alumni weekend for Duck baseball just a couple weeks ago, which is fun.
Yeah, they had a great weekend. A bunch of guys came back. A little home run derby in the rain on Saturday morning.
Shout out to Kenyon Yovan and Dominic Hellman, the winners.
I was impressed with Kenyon. I mean, he's gone back to full-time pitching, and he advanced to the final round of the home run derby. And with his number 1 draft pick, he
that's right, with Hellman.
Intelligently picked Hellman.
Yeah.
And it paid off for him.
Smart move. Smart move.
It was great to have Ryan Nelson back. I saw the stat that the last time a Duck had played in the World Series was 1949.
Yeah.
So
that was
you're
a bit
good at
ago.
math. What is that, 74?
Something like that. That's a good number. I'll take it. You're better at math than I am. Journalism majors famously cannot do math. This is a thing. Like, this is a stigma. This is why we become journalism majors. And I just gave Matt Ulmer so much cannon fodder for when he walks in here. Yeah, this has been great for me. I did want to ask you a little bit, too, about men's and women's tennis. Let's start with Quinn Vanekesteel. I've been talking about it on the show. Like, what a run for Quinn in the fall. That's pretty cool. Could you put it in context for us?
Well, yeah, it's almost unprecedented what he's done. And I think we've talked about it on this show before so far this fall. But for him to go into last summer unranked professionally and work his way through kind of the minor league challenger, futures circuit, all the way up into the top 650 in the world, to do it the hard way without wild cards and really support from the USTA or a federation, and then ultimately get an invitation into qualifying rounds at the U.S. Open, that was pretty incredible for him and as a representative of Oregon, and not something we've had achieved here maybe ever.
Yeah.
As from a Duck. And then, going into the fall, he had a lot of miles on those legs going into the fall. And, he competed against the tops in the country several times, ITA All-American, ITA Nationals. He won the Super Regionals down at Stanford. Fun fact about that, and I don't remember the name of the individual that he beat to win that Super Regional, but that young man had beaten him in USTA Nationals when they were juniors 0-0. 6-0, 6-0, he had beaten Quinn.
Ouch.
And he had also won Junior Wimbledon, which is an amazing feat. So Quinn, that just shows kind of the growth that he's had. He turned around and beat that kid in Super Regionals this fall. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Quinn Vanekesteel. We had him on the show. Awesome. You can't help but root for him. Really great stuff. Check it out on the women's tennis program, too. What you got for us?
Yeah, so both the men and the women played through their fall schedules, and they're, got some good singles and doubles play in. And, the way the tennis season sets up, it's kind of tournament play, more individual focus in the fall. And then you quickly, early January, get into your team format. So I know Courtney's excited. Elizabeth Robinson has moved on. She got the head coach job at Illinois Chicago. So all the best to Elizabeth, and thank you to her for all she did over the last, I think, 6 or 7 years as our assistant. And so we'll be out, Courtney will be out looking for a new assistant for this upcoming year. And a lot of excitement on both sides. I think they're hungry and out to get back in the tournament.
When assistant coaches become head coaches, that tells you the program was doing something right.
Yeah, and it was a great opportunity for her as well, just being from Chicago area. So
yeah, Eric Roedl, Deputy Athletic Director. Hey, thanks for being with us. I hope we didn't miss anything, and just thank you, sir. Thanks for what you're doing.
All right, Joey, keep it up.
We're gonna get a timeout. When we come back, I am ready to be the fodder for Matt Ulmer. I always am. Just give me that give him that cannon. He has one ready to go. Yeah. Back after this, talking with the Oregon Volleyball head coach on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball head coach, is with us. He always famously doesn't want to welcome us back, but he just did it anyway. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. You?
Yeah.
Big one on Thursday. Looking forward to it. Thanks for keeping the Tuesday slot. I know that the schedule's a little tighter this week. Thanks for taking your time.
There's no place else I'd rather be.
Except a volleyball court.
No place else I'd rather be.
Coming off a nice weekend, huh? Feeling pretty good?
Yeah. It was a good weekend. Thought we did a lot of good stuff. I think Utah and Colorado are good teams, and Utah, the first 2 sets were really tight. I thought they served so tough, and I thought we learned some stuff that maybe we wanted to adjust, and we did in the 3rd set. And then it was probably maybe our best set of the year, the 3rd set against Utah.
You thought so?
I think we just did a lot of stuff really, really well.
Wow.
And then carried that over to Colorado, and 2 of the sets were definitely our 2 best sets of the year. We served so well. We handled the ball great. Everybody was scoring. Hannah just, putting on a show. And we fought them off kind of in the second, third. They did much better, but I thought we did a lot of really good things. So, yeah, Stanford on Thursday, and that should be a fun one.
That's a big one coming up. We'll talk about it. 6 o'clock, Pac-12 Insider on the road. Big one for a lot of reasons that we'll get into, but I do want to ask you about your serving. A season best in 12 aces. And
yeah.
You happy with the serving? I know it's a constant.
I was happy that day.
Okay.
Yeah. That was good.
Okay.
I thought we didn't try
Have you been happy in practice since then?
No. Since we only had one practice today.
Right.
So was I happy today?
Yeah.
Rarely.
Okay. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, no, I thought we didn't try to do too much. I thought we just kept consistent pressure, put good ball on them. There's a lot of teams where some passers are nervous to pass the ball, and you just got to go put a good ball in their area and stress them out and see what happens. And I thought we just did that really consistently, just executed at a high level. If that's something we could bottle up moving forward, we're really a good team, because then our defense, is one of the top 10 in the country, and that just sets us up, to set up our big block. So that was really exciting to see, and hopefully, that's something that we can just continue to do, repeat.
Is serving the most difficult and in a lot of ways underrated part of your sport?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get enough pub, but it can absolutely make or break the outcome. So I think for most teams, but a lot of teams aren't great out of system, meaning like if everybody knows where the ball's going, you don't just have somebody that can just bail you out all the time, right? They want to be able to run multiple options on their offense. So when you can serve the ball well enough to make them much more predictable, that's a game changer. And for us, again, we're top 10 in the country in blocks.
Yep.
And then we have the defense behind it. This is record-breaking defensive year for Oregon so far. So, that's if we can serve well to keep that pressure on, then we're really tough to score against. Yeah. And our offense is top 10 in the country. So, if we can just score on our side and then we bring that piece of our serving into the game, then, again, I think we're a really tough team.
You make it sound so easy.
Do I?
Yeah.
Well, it's just been years of hard work to get to the point. So, I mean, yeah, when you're
but am I right?
When you're
Everybody,
at the finish line, it looks a lot closer.
You just make it sound so easy, but I say this knowing that it's not. Being consistent in all the different categories you're talking about, particularly this example in serving. How do you bottle that up? That's the age-old question.
It's
right?
It's such a between the ears thing.
Yeah.
Serving. It's again you're
by yourself.
You're vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
You're so vulnerable. You're back there. Everybody's looking at you. The outcome is on you.
Yeah.
Can you go back there and just, again, I've practiced this a million times. Yeah. My body knows what to do. Can I repeat it? And then can I be tough enough to risk a little bit, to go forward a little bit more and not chicken out? And, that's really easy to do when things are good, and it's much harder to do when things are tight.
I'll never forget this. So Amanda Benson, one of the greatest in Oregon volleyball history, right, as a libero. Amanda's very first serve, she's a highly touted recruit. Her very first serve in college, right into the net. Did you know that?
No, I wasn't here yet, but
yeah,
I believe that.
Right into the net. And I remember talking to her about it after the fact, years later, and she was like, I still remember that.
Did she jump serve? Because I think she was a jump server at one point. Yeah,
yeah, I think so. But but anyway, I bring that up, it's a tough thing to do. Right?
Yeah,
and I remember her saying that you're back there by yourself, and you're like, wait, this is weird.
And that's how, and serve receive can be that way sometimes.
Sure.
Because they can really just pick you apart, and so they're going right at you, and everybody knows it's coming to you, and you got to be able to handle it. So I think those are the two areas where really if you're a mentally tough team, that's two areas where you can be strong. And again, as the season goes on, the pressure only the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
So for us, are we building what we need to make sure that we can handle those moments? And again, I like this weekend in that progression.
I wanted to ask you too, down the stretch, because we talk about the second half of Pac-12 play, and momentum in sports is so important. And in your sport, in volleyball, you have a set of 25-7, which had some just ridiculous runs, right, of points. Then you have another that's 25-9 this weekend. I feel
and then we lose the 25-7, and then we lose the second.
Right. So. Right. But then you finish it. Okay, let's back up.
That's where you were trying to go, right?
Well, you capped it with two really great sets, first and fourth.
Here's what we're
Colorado.
Capable of.
So with that in mind, though, in a set, when you have that momentum, I feel like you're the kind of team, because of the talent, all the things we've discussed, that can just avalanche people. Am I right in that? And how do you have that happen more often? I mean, sometimes the other team's going to make a play. I get that.
Yeah.
But, man, the momentum that we saw in those two sets, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be sitting in front of that avalanche of Ducks.
Yeah, I don't know. Thinking of other sports like football or basketball, where they have different quarters.
Yeah, there's more stops in.
But
those
I mean,
sports.
football, they could win the first quarter, by 20 points.
Right.
And then they could lose the second quarter, but they're still up by.
Yeah.
A good amount. So it's that carryover, I think, what makes it so
that's
hard to come back from, where we start all over again.
That's true.
So even though,
you
points-wise, we just beat Colorado by then, I don't know, 35 points. It's a blowout, right? But we're in a 4-set, so now it doesn't look like, it looks so much closer because that's how it is. Where in other sports, it would have been it was over, really early.
It was over in the second quarter.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's not our sport, because every quarter, in basketball, it resets, and then you won that quarter. And then in our sport, for example, we had the matchups we wanted in the first set, and we took advantage of that. And then we didn't get the matchups we wanted in the second set.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, so they got what they wanted. They got a couple runs, and then we weren't able to get our runs from the service line. And then that's the difference of you pull away, or it's tight the whole way. And then when it's tight, after you just beat them, now you're nervous because we're supposed to beat them. We just beat them. How can we now beat the whole thing?
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. There's been these moments where, and you talk about consistency, and I think this is maybe the theme that I'm getting to today.
We'll get to it then.
Your team. He's Matt Ulmer.
I only have 10 minutes
coach.
On here. If this was just rounding around.
But it's a riveting conversation.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
But anyway, the point I'm making, I guess, is your team has shown these just avalanche moments of you have so much momentum, you're unstoppable. So what is the step to have that be more consistent? Is it about matchups? Is it about sometimes the other team makes a play? I don't know. Like I feel like as you go down the season, that's probably what you're looking for.
Well, what we'd like to get to is the point where it doesn't have to be about matchups.
Right.
Right. Like, it could be Gabby or Mimi blocking their outside or their right side, or maybe their front row middle, with a setter front row, and we're good either way. Like you don't have to just match them up that way. Or Hannah can block that outside. It doesn't have to be just Morgan. So we want to get our defense and our block to the point where we don't have to necessarily have to have that matchup, because you can't control where they start. Right, so we can't just always depend on matching that up. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is our serve receive, making sure that it's consistent enough in each rotation that we can run the offense we want to run. And I think, again, in those 2 sets with Colorado we were talking about, or the 3rd set against Utah, we had our serve receive dialed in. And then our offense is so fast, and Hannah has so many options that it's going to feel it's like you're climbing quicksand. It's like you can't catch up. Because that's where we can play, and then, Kate goes back there and goes on a run, and our block gets big, and all of a sudden you look at the scoreboard, you're down 5, and then you're, having to keep going.
That's the avalanche.
That's the avalanche you're talking about. That's where we'd like to get to, is that our servers can go back there no matter what their rotation is and get them in trouble, and then our rotations on offense, I don't care who they're serving or what their block looks like, we know what to do.
And you're getting there.
I do feel like we're a lot closer. I do feel like we're starting to really know who we are and settling into kind of what we need to do. I do feel like it was about this time last year we did about the same thing, where there's things you were trying to get to and maybe we're not going to quite get there. So then it's like, okay, then we're going to make this adjustment. This is who we are. Yeah, this is what we are.
Interesting.
And I feel like we got a couple weeks left to really get that down, and then playoffs start. So I do feel like it's kind of the phase of the season that we're in.
He's Matt Ulmer, Oregon volleyball head coach. So talking about Stanford, a 6 o'clock matchup televised on Pac-12 Insider. On the road, you played them once this year. I want to go back a little bit. Some takeaways from that one. How does it impact round 2 against the Cardinal?
Yeah, I thought the first time we played him, it was a really good back-and-forth contest. Other than a run in the 4th set by one of their servers, that was 7 points, I think.
Yeah.
It was pretty much point for point the whole way. We got it there. They apply a ton of service pressure. We're going to have to hold strong the whole way. And be more consistent there. And then I thought, going back and looking, there's some things tactically I think we can do differently, make a couple adjustments that maybe we can sneak a few more points. But again, when you have these matches like the Washington States, this one, and go down the line, like they're going to be close.
Yeah.
If both teams play well, it should be close. So then what's going to be the difference? And we just have to make sure we pick up all those little plays and do all the right things.
Duck volleyball also on the road on Saturday, sliding up a day on this road trip. Saturday at 11 a.m. in Berkeley, and then back in time for some USC football.
Are we back in time?
I hope so.
What time's the game?
7:30.
Wow.
You might make it to Autzen.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you might.
That'd be fun.
Who knows?
I like going to Autzen.
I know. You're a fan,
It's pretty
aren't you?
fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we actually get Sunday, Monday off.
Oh,
so
nice.
we get 2 days off, which I think it's good time for that.
Is it?
So,
well, especially down the stretch run, right? I mean, you talk about how fast it comes. Like we're only a couple weeks away.
We have some
from
tired
Senior
bodies.
Day.
We have some tired bodies.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to maybe give them a couple days.
But the vocal cords are loose.
Yours are?
We're only a couple weeks away from Senior Day, where Coach Ulmer will be.
You don't have to remind everybody every time.
He will be so good.
You don't have to.
It's going to be really great Senior night. And also, I was going to ask you.
And stop telling people that's going to be good.
It's going to be great.
You got to under promise.
It's going to be great. I'm telling you. There are comments that Troy says
there's no comments.
End with the national anthem. Like you could just rehearse it for us. No, people are talking about it.
Yeah.
People are excited.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's going to be, in all seriousness.
I won't be nervous at all.
Coach Ulmer is going to do a great job. He might need some encouragement.
You guys just sing
and I
along
also just
with
wanted
me.
to tell you that because that matchup for Senior Day is on a Tuesday, you don't have to come in and talk to us that week.
Why are you clapping?
I know it's not actually where he wants to be all the time. So
I'd be. Well, if you're kicking me out.
When are you doing serve and pass that day?
1:35.
Funny.
No, before. Come,
hey,
I'll be here.
It's up to you.
Unless I don't get the invite.
Look, the
that's
calendar,
happened. It's happened before.
The calendar event is on your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can be here on Tuesday the 21st, we will have you as a pregame show.
I'll get back to you.
Okay. Matt Ulmer, Oregon volleyball head coach, Stanford, Thursday, 6 o'clock. We'll be tuning in. Coach, safe travels. Thank you.
Go Ducks.
Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Both men's and women's basketball team opened the seasons with a win yesterday. College basketball is fun, huh? Especially when you're the Ducks.
Head to Rigsby. A 3-on-1. Rigsby with a slam! Two-hand jam from Brennan Rigsby. Ducks up double digits.
So I obviously had fun, thanks to Brennan Rigsby. I also want everybody to know that Brennan did some next-level stuff. Scott, just play the video again for those of you who are here. You don't need to turn my call up, but watch how he catapults himself with the rim back to run on defense. Dude just threw a poster slam in a big man's face, spun around on the rim, catapults himself, and he runs back on defense. Because Georgia's like, oh, we got to get momentum back here. What a job! That is some next-level stuff from Brennan Rigsby. What a great performance, though. Oregon men's basketball over Georgia, an 82-71 win, and last night Oregon women's basketball with an 81-48 win. Ducks finished that game on a 13-3 run. Both teams are 1-0 to start the season. Women's basketball in action again on Wednesday. Chris Clayton with a 5:30 pregame show, 6 o'clock tip. He'll have the call with Bev Smith. We also have the football coaches show that night. We'll be multitasking. Broadcasting is multitasking. That's tomorrow. This has been a Tuesday show. My thanks to Coach Lanning, Coach Ulmer, Eric Roedl. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D.